On page 62 of your workbook, there's some vocabulary words at the top of this page. You see these 5 vocabulary words up here at the top? I'd like to talk through those with you and jot some notes down if you need to. All right? First vocabulary word is Axis of Symmetry. First of all, have you ever heard of that before? Okay, have you heard of axis before? Have you heard of before? Have you heard of symmetry before? Can we put them all together and figure out what it means? Yeah. What do you think it means? So it's an axis that it's somewhere on the shape. In this case, the shape is a quadratic or a parabola, right? So both sides are the same. So it's a line, let's see, a line that cuts the shape, but we're not really talking about any specific or any general. Whoa, you can't even see that at all. Let me try again. It's a line. Is that better? That cuts the parabola in half so that it's what? You guys said it a minute ago. So it's the same on each side, right? So that it's the same on each side. That's what you said, right? Okay. What about standard form? Have you ever heard of standard form before? We even talked about it when? At the beginning of the year, right? Absolutely, the beginning of the year. So standard form is y equals or f of x equals, either one, ax squared plus bx plus c. It's also right down here, like already written. What about minimum value? When I asked this earlier, they looked at me like I was an idiot. You're really going to ask us what a minimum value is? Well, yeah, I have to. Okay? Because some people might not know. If we're talking about a graph, what is a minimum value? Very good. The lowest point. So what is a maximum value? Oh my gosh, highest point. Intercept form. First of all, do you know what an intercept is? It's where it crosses an axis, right? Now, like when we have slope-intercept form, which intercept are we talking about? The y, okay? In this case, however, when we're talking about the intercept form, we are actually talking about the x. So I want you to remind yourself that we're talking about the x-intercepts. And the intercept form looks like this. Y equals a times x minus p times x minus q. And it's actually in the middle of the next page, if you need to see it as well. If that helps. Okay? So let's talk in general about standard form for just a minute. Okay? Cover up that graph so you're not looking at the second graph. I want to just look at the first graph first. What can you tell me about that parabola? Yes, it does open up. That's a good thing to notice. It does open up. Because compared to this one, how does that one open? Opens down, right? Okay, so this one opens up. Now, there was a little bit of confusion earlier, and understandably so, okay? Because there's not really things that are darker or lighter so much as I would like it to be. Notice, please, that this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. Okay? What is that other line that's on the graph right here? That is exactly the axis of symmetry. Very good. Do you see how it cuts the parabola right in half? If I cover up one half, cover up the other half, it looks the same. That's the axis of symmetry. Okay? Now cover that one up and look at the other one. What do you notice about that one? Opens down. It also has a axis of symmetry. Good. Okay? Look at the 4 bullet points on the bottom. Sorry I said bullet at school. I don't have any choice right now. Okay? The parabola opens up when a is greater than 0 and opens down when a is less than 0. Guys, what's another way to say that? The parabola opens up when a is positive. That's excellent. The parabola opens down when a is negative. Perfect. Okay? Wait, have we already talked about that? When? Beginning of the year. Absolutely. Okay? The graph is narrower than the graph of our parent function when the absolute value of a is greater than 1 and wider when the absolute value is less than 1. Because that sounds really familiar too. Because it should, right? Because it should. Yes, we absolutely talked about that at the beginning of the year. Okay? So we're talking about it again because you were awful at it the first time and we have to do it over? Or we're talking about it again because it's important and we need to reinforce that? Yes, it's important and we got to reinforce it. That's why we're talking about it again. What? Oh, okay. For some of you, it might be some of both, but that's okay. All right? Now, this third bullet point, sorry for saying bullet again, this statement right here has really messed with some people's heads because a lot of times so far today, people have read this and thought, yeah, I'm going to just circle C and go on. I know you guys do that. When you get confused, when you get frustrated with a question, you circle C and go on. Right? Sometimes even when it's not multiple choice, you do that. That's not good. All right? This, you totally understand this, but let me talk you through it so I can convince you that you understand it. Okay? The axis of symmetry is x equals negative b over 2a. You know it's x equals because it's crossing the x-axis. Both of these are crossing the x-axis, aren't they? So that's why it's x equals. Negative b over 2a is the formula for the axis of symmetry. You may not have seen it before, but if I said negative b over 2a, are you going to know what numbers to put in there? How are you going to know what numbers to put in there? Oh yeah, look at standard form. It has an a, a b, and a c. Not hard, right? So you're okay with this part, aren't you? The last part's where people freak. The vertex is negative b over 2a, comma, f of negative b over 2a. Wait, what? Okay, take it apart at a time. The vertex is a point, right? So it's written as a point. Does it make sense that the x value of the vertex would be negative b over 2a? Because the axis of symmetry says x equals negative b over 2a. So that's fairly logical, isn't it? What the heck does that mean right there? In a point, what do you have? An x and a y. Guys, if I know my x value, how in the world do I find my y value? Yeah, you plug it in, don't you? If I know what x is, and x isn't going to be all messy and ugly like this, right, with letters. It's going to be like 4 or a half or something like that, right? Once I know what x is, how do I find y? I plug it in. I plug my x in. Well, what's a better vocabulary word for me to be using than plug it in? Substitute. Very good. I substitute what I know for x back into my standard form of my equation, and won't that give me y? Yeah, that's how I get this value right here. Please make sure you understand this, what this function notation is saying. It's saying take your x and substitute it into the function. That's all it's saying right there, isn't it? So did it look difficult in the beginning? Yes. Is it really difficult? No, you already know how to do stuff like this, don't you? Excellent. Last one. The y-intercept is C. Done. You don't have to figure out anything. You just look at C. That's the y-intercept. Now we have to write it as a y-intercept, 0, C, because it is a point, right? But that's not something that's difficult to do. That's definitely something you guys have done before, isn't it? Even when we did linear functions, y equals mx plus b, you knew b was the y-intercept and had to write it as 0, comma b, didn't you? Okay? Any questions on that part so far? All right, let's go to the top of the next page. I don't want to scare you, but it just pretty much gets easier from here. Okay? Now, I know half the time you guys don't believe me when I say it's easier, but look at what it's talking about. Minimum and maximum values. If this is your function, the minimum value is when, the x-coordinate of the vertex is the minimum value when a is greater than 0, and it's the maximum value when a is less than 0. Wait, what? So if the parabola is opening up because my a is positive, does it make sense that the vertex is the minimum? Yeah, it's the lowest point, right? If the parabola is opening down because my a is negative, my a is less than 0, does it make sense that the vertex is my maximum point? Not difficult, is it? Do you trust me now? Finally? Maybe? If we're talking about this graph right here, notice please that there's a correction I need you to make. Okay? There's a correction, there's a typo in the book. This says y is less than or equal to f of whatever. This y is less than or equal should not be there. Okay? And what else is wrong with it? Can you tell? It should be f of negative b over 2a. Good. Negative b over 2a. See how this is the way that it should look. I need you to make this one look like this one. Okay? Just a little error. I'm sure the people at the publishing company are humans. I'm pretty sure. Okay? No? You disagree? Okay. So, guys, why is the domain of this parabola all real numbers? What is domain again? Yeah, it's the x values. You're whispering it. You can be confident. That's right. Okay? Domain is the x values. How far to the left does this go? All the way? How far to the right does it go? All the way? So does it make sense that the domain is all real numbers? Yeah? Okay? The range. Does the range make sense to you? Y is greater than or equal to the y coordinate of the vertex? Is it really greater than the minimum point? Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? Okay. This says decreasing to the left of the vertex and increasing to the right of the vertex. There's been a little confusion on this today, and that's okay if you understand what we're talking about. Okay? Because once you understand, I don't think there'll be confusion. The reason there's confusion is because when we draw a parabola, we always go up and draw arrows and draw arrows. So we know it's going up here and up here, right? But if we're reading left to right, because most of us are not Hebrew, some people are, that's okay, right? But we're not, most of us, we read left to right. If we're reading left to right, what's happening as I move left to right? It's decreasing, isn't it? And it decreases until it gets to the vertex. And then it increases. Another way that you could know that is because there's arrows and it says. Okay? Any questions about that? So, again, there's been a little bit of confusion on this side because they said, well, maximum value, that was easy, right? But they were like, we flipped it over. Shouldn't the domain be different? Why not? Excellent, because it's still going all the way left and still going all the way right. The domain doesn't change when we flip it over. What changes? The range. Very good. What changes about the range? Yeah, look at the signs. Okay? The range for this, when there's a minimum, it's everything greater than that minimum. The range for this, when there's a maximum, it's everything less than the maximum. Okay? Most people have gotten this part okay. Increasing to the left of the vertex and decreasing to the right of the vertex. You okay with that? Okay, any questions about that section right here? All right, last little section of notes right here. Properties of the graph when it's in what form? What form is this? Yeah, intercept form. That's exactly right. That was one of the vocabulary words we looked at on the previous page, right? So this is an intercept form. A kid earlier said, Ms. Kingston, that just looks like it's factored. I said, you are brilliant. Doesn't it look like it's factored? Yeah. And if we want to get something in intercept form, guess what we have to do? Factor it. Okay? P and Q are the x-intercepts. And you can see them very, very clearly. Okay? The axis of symmetry is halfway in between P and Q. If it's halfway in between P and Q, does it make sense that we have to add those two together and divide by 2? Yes or no? Hopefully, right? Does that sound familiar from, like, geometry? Isn't that how you've maybe found the midpoint? You added them together and divided by 2? Yeah? Okay. Now, the parabola opens up when a is greater than 0 and opens down when a is less than 0. Haven't we heard that before? Yeah, on every form of quadratics, because it's true for every form of quadratics. Okay? Any questions about these notes today, guys? All right. You have the rest of the period to work on the homework problems so that you can get those done. Ask questions as you go. My book is open in the back so that you can check your answers as you go. Are there any questions?